Hi everyone, Janie here. Welcome back to my garden. We have a little bit of dry weather right now. We have been going through quite the rainy December, November, and December, honestly, which has been fantastic because, of course, here in California, we often have periods of drought. We are definitely not in one of those periods right now, and I'm loving it, and my plants are loving it, but it does make it hard to get out into the garden. So I want to show you all over here my center island and my dry creek bed in my center island. You can see it is definitely doing its job. So what a dry creek bed is it's a place that you reserve planting and you just have, it's kind of, you can also call it a swale. It's kind of like a depressed place in the garden that will collect all the rainwater and allow it to slowly soak back into the ground. So my dry creek bed, even though there's no rocks or anything in it yet, it's doing its job. It's collected all the rainwater and now it's slowly draining back into the ground. So this dry creek bed takes care of the drainage in the center island. I did notice yesterday when it was pouring down rain that I am having a bit of a drainage issue over here. I did notice that this whole spot, kind of like right where you can see the compost has been spread out, this whole spot was kind of flooded. And I have noticed that before a little bit, and it might be something that I do have to take care of. Luckily, it drains pretty quickly, but it is a spot that I noticed for drainage that I'm keeping my eye on. What I might need to do in the future is install what's called an area drain. And so what that is, it's just a drain that maybe I would put like right there and then have a pipe underneath the ground all the way out to the drainage ditch on the other side of that fence right there. And that should help the drainage in this area and prevent it from pooling. It's obviously not that bad because it hasn't washed away like any of the plants or any of the mulch or anything like that, but I have noticed it, so I'm keeping my eye on it. So if you live in an area like I do, California, we get all of our rain in a very, very short period of time. Sometimes we can have major drainage problems, and that can cause a lot of damage in your home. So just keeping an eye on it and making sure you're taking care of it with proper drains, dry creek beds, swales, or anything like that. Making sure that your drains are cleaned out from leaves and debris is really important. It's just going to make sure that your garden basically doesn't wash away with the rainstorms. So while I have a little bit of a break from the rain, it's not supposed to rain for the rest of the day. It's supposed to start tonight and then it's supposed to rain all day tomorrow. But for now, while I have a little bit of a reprieve, I want to get a couple things done in the garden. And I also want to go grocery shopping because I hate grocery shopping in the rain, but I'll get to that eventually. The things that I do want to do in the garden though, is I do want to plant some bulbs. I have planted a ton of bulbs already. I've planted daffodils and tulips and snowflakes and snowdrops, and I'm really excited because I think I'm gonna have a really, really good show come spring. But I do have some spring blooming bulbs from Proven Winners that I wanted to plant in my stock tanks over here. So these are my 3 stock tanks that I have. I actually got these from my last property, and I had 2 of them in my last property, and then I had a 3rd one. We ended up moving them here, and I love where they are. I think I will leave them in this spot. It's this weird little paved area I think that they had for getting out of the garage right there. But for us, it's perfect just to have these stock tanks here, and then I can plant in them. And so last winter, what I planted a whole bunch of tulips, and they looked absolutely beautiful. Then in the summer, I tried out the Virtuoso dahlias from Proven Winners, and they did really, really good. I pulled those out at the end of the season, but you can see they've come back. I must have left some of the tubers in, and they've come back and they've been blooming. They don't look great, but I just thought that was so funny that the dahlias are still coming back even after I pulled them. So what I'm planning to do today is I am planning to plant some Proven Winners premium bulbs. They are here and they're really, really interesting. I haven't planted the spring blooming bulbs yet. I have planted the summer blooming bulbs in my cut flower garden that I had in my center island this past year. And those did really, really well. They sell those in kind of like a pack that all belongs together. It's kind of like a curated pack. These they sell separately. I have 2 varieties. I have Rococo Double Tulips, which I thought would be really, really fun and beautiful, even with that green color kind of along the edges. It just is so pretty. And then Fantasy Creation Muscari. So both of these I have had in my tulip fridge in my garage for the past, I want to say 8 to 10 weeks or something like that. And that is because I live in zone 9. We don't get cold enough for stratification for Muscari and for tulips. So I have to pre-chill these bulbs to make sure that they bloom for me. And so they have been sitting in the fridge, not the freezer, the fridge, and it is a fridge that I actually have dedicated just to my bulbs. We don't have any fruits or vegetables. I think we do have some like champagne or stuff, like drinks and stuff in there, but that's about it. Otherwise, it's just the bulbs. So these guys have been pre-chilled and they are ready to go, and I'm going to put them in here. And I'm going to kind of do these guys in the middle and then these guys around the side. I think that I'm kind of pushing it with timing. I think these are going to bloom before these, but I just want to see how they do. Because what did they say? I think this said late spring. Yeah, so the tulips are late spring and then the Muscari is mid-spring. So I might get a little bit of overlap with the purple and the orange at the same time, but that's okay. I just want to see kind of a really pretty long show over here in these stock tanks. So I'm going to go ahead and get started and get these guys planted. Okay, so 120 Rococo double tulips and 360 Fantasy Creation Muscari are planted in these stock tanks. They are ready to go. I topped them off with compost so I didn't have to push them down too deep, so I made it just easy on myself, which these guys needed to be topped up with compost anyway. I followed the adage of planting double the height of the bulb. So the bigger the bulb, the deeper you want to plant. So I planted the tulips a little bit deeper than the Muscari, and I think that they are going to be happy. So luckily, because it's supposed to start to rain in a couple hours, even though it feels like it's about to rain any minute, I don't have to water those bulbs in. So I'm just going to let the rain do that. Now, before I go grocery shopping, there's one more thing that I want to get done, and that is I need to start hardening off my tomato seedlings. Yes, my tomato seedlings. So in my nice warm office here, I have these tomatoes that I have been growing from seed, and they are ready to go out. But I obviously can't put them straight out. I have to start hardening them off. But since they're going to be growing in my greenhouse, I need to harden them off into my greenhouse. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these tomato seedlings and I'm going to go put them in my greenhouse for the rest of the day. And then at night, I'll bring them back in here to my office. And then I'm going to go back and and forth for about a week. Oh, they smell so good as I'm doing this. It smells so good. So why I'm trying to do this is because tomatoes are daylight neutral. And so that means it doesn't matter how much daylight they have, they will grow if they're in good conditions. And so I'm going to see if I get enough light in my greenhouse during the winter to grow tomatoes. So let me take these out and I'm going to put them in the greenhouse so they can start hardening themselves off. And what that means is they're just going to develop a cambium layer around the outside of their stem to make them able to withstand colder temperatures, bright sun if it's too hot. Obviously, I don't think the sun's going to be too hot for them at this time of year, and any other stressors that they have that are not like their nice, comfy, cozy seed starting shelf that they have here in my office. All right, so let's take these out. So in my greenhouse, we actually did install a greenhouse heater. And it's funny because we installed it, but we haven't had the need to use it because it's very, very strong. It's right up there. It's very strong and it's still relatively warm in here. Like I'm standing in here right now and it is nice. It is so nice. The greenhouse is definitely doing its job. But if I ever get to the point that I do need the heater, I have it and I can turn it on. So all I'm going to do right now, I'm going to leave those tomato seedlings right there for the rest of the day. I'll come back late at night, put them back into my office, and then keep going back and forth for about a week. And then whichever one I did 3 of each variety. I have the Moneymaker variety, and then I also have the Sun Gold. Whichever one looks the best, I will plant 1 of each in this bed right here and tie a string up just like I did for the Thunbergia and see how they do growing in my greenhouse. And of course, these tomatoes are just an experiment to see if I can grow tomatoes during the winter outside in a protected spot like this greenhouse. Now, my concern is that there might not be enough sun for the tomatoes to grow just because it's winter time and the sun is just not as strong. And what you would do for that normally is you would use artificial light. You would use grow lights. I don't want to use grow lights in my greenhouse. I just figure I already have grow lights in my office, and if I wanted to use grow lights, I would grow something in my office. I just want to see what I can do in my greenhouse with just using the natural sun and then maybe a little bit of protection from the cool temperatures. So just want to see, just kind of a fun experiment. I'll bring you all along and hopefully I can get some tomatoes out of this greenhouse. We'll see. Anyway, I am off to go grocery shopping before it starts raining. I hope you all enjoyed this, and I hope you all have a chance to get in your garden today.